I am a much happier person than I was before. I enjoy going home. I enjoy going home to see my family. My mother and I, we now have a relationship between each other, which it wasn't like that before. There used to be times where my mum and I used to have physical fights. When I mean physical fights, I mean we used to punch each other, and my grandma used to try and stop us. I used to run away from home, have arguments with her, and I just hated her. I think I hated her because she wasn't there for me. I thought she wasn't there for me. I thought she didn't love me as much as I wanted to be loved. So I used to use things to get that attention. I used to use boys. I used to do many things. Now, things has changed. We don't fight anymore. We actually communicate, we speak, we sit down. Things have really changed inside of my house, and that was one of my biggest problems. I noticed that the reason why I didn't like being around her is because I thought that she wasn't there for me as much as I wanted her to be. But to be honest, she couldn't be because she was a young mum. She didn't know much. And later on, I started to understand that. Now, there's peace in my home.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. We hope that you had a wonderful Easter weekend and that you got involved in the true meaning of Easter, not the false commercial meaning. Now, we live in a very commercialized world in terms of beauty. You know, one of the industries that is worth billions of pounds, billions of dollars is the beauty industry, right? Makeups and Botox and plastic surgery. This has become a huge business, keeping up with the trends. And things are so fabricated, especially maybe for women, that there's a lot of pressure that is put on to your image, how you should look like, how you should dress. And God forbid you break any laws in terms of what's fashionable to wear, because you'll be called, you know, all kinds of names that you're weird and quirky in the way that you dress. So with all these pressures, people start to develop complexes. They start to develop thoughts that they don't match up with how they should look like. And this affects everything. This affects you in your workplace, because you go to work with a group of people who look a certain way, and you're pressurized to look the same way. And this affects relationships, because perhaps your partner, whether it's a man or a woman, you know, he has this idea or she has this idea of what you should look like. And then you feel under pressure to look like that. And then you develop this idea that you hate your body, you hate yourself. And then you start getting into some really, really dark problems. You start to get into a world where people are really affected by the way they look. You know, people are affected to the point there are people who don't want to have mirrors in their own house. There are people who try to cover every part of their bodies just to try to hide from the world what they look like, because they really have a problem of what they look like. Maybe you set yourself for failure in relationships, because even if someone likes you the way that you are, you don't like yourself, and then you start putting up these barriers. And this affects your day-to-day life. This affects who you are. And I have someone here with me in the studio that he has told me in the past that he used to have a complex. Right, Michael?
I think I had many complexes.
But I remember you told me once that you had a complex because I think you said that because you weren't black and you weren't white, you were in the middle. Am I right? Did you say something like this to me?
It was filling in the form I didn't know. I mean, my background is Indian and black. And when you're filling in that form, it's like, what am I?
Where do you belong?
Where do I belong? Yeah. And so it came to a point, I had this struggle in me trying to find out. And still today, I can't say what I am because, I'm trying to fit into one of those boxes until I'm happy with myself, then.
But you don't struggle with that anymore?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't need to fill one of those boxes anymore. But, I'm happy with myself. I know I am now. But that was just one of the things that I had.
And, subconsciously, I think people always try to keep up with the trends. Even us. I mean, fashion, you try to keep up with fashion. You try to look good because you want to be presentable. But there is that extreme point, that extreme side of things where people, they actually live an unhappy life because they're unhappy. People who are addicted to cosmetic surgery. And then there are those who can't afford cosmetic surgery, so they get into debt trying to look a certain way. And they're never happy. They're never happy because, people criticize you because you're too this, criticize you because you're too that, and then you try to be more like they said. And people really start to be unhappy, to have serious hang-ups about this.
There are people that they're quite excessive in what they do, whether it's makeup, whether it's clothes, trying to dress excessively to grab attention. And all it is just hiding that deeper issue that they have. They're worried about the outside appearance of what they look like. Sometimes they're not happy with themselves, or they want to portray that they are happy, or put the attention away from themselves onto something else so that they can get compliments, for example.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't work. It doesn't help them at all because that problem, that deeper issue is still there inside.
And when you have when you have this problem with I'm going to be honest. We have spoken to people that come to us for help because they hate the way they look. That starts to affect everything. And we hear cases, we speak to people who have extreme cases, and they try to overcompensate with other things. So for example, the person feels that they're ugly. They really hate the way they look. So anyone who gives them attention, they jump into bed with that person because they feel someone loves me. Right, Michael? They think, well, I don't like myself, I hate myself. So whoever gives that person a little bit of attention, they feel so happy that they immediately give themselves to that person. They end up, struggling and suffering because, the person uses them because you didn't value who you are. You didn't value not just what you have on the outside to offer, but who you are on the outside. And maybe you're watching me now and you've been on the receiving end of this. You've tried to compensate for the things you don't like about yourself by doing things that today you regret. Not just in relationships, but maybe you've done things, you've made decisions that you don't approve of. Trying to get to that point where people would accept you for who you are. Maybe till today you hate who you are, you hate your appearance, you hate the way you speak, you hate something about yourself. And you try to fit all the boxes. If you have a piece of a puzzle, that one piece of a puzzle will only fit one place. You can't make it fit everywhere. And maybe you're trying to fit yourself to please everybody. And you're never going to do that. You're always going to be too something, too short, too tall, too big, too thin. You're always going to be too something. And perhaps you're unhappy about that. You're unhappy and that affects everything in your life. We want to help you today. In fact, we have someone in the studio who will be sharing her story later today, or later this evening, that because she was so unhappy about something in her life, she started to lose everything. She started to lose the things that were essential in her life. You're going to hear her story a little bit later. But I want you to do something. If you, right now, you say, James, I really struggle with this. I'm tired of the person that I am. I can't change this person that I am, but I want to be happy. I try to find happiness in different things to compensate for something that I'm not or for something that I am. I really need help. I don't know who I am anymore. Sometimes the person tries to be something, to please someone all the time, and they forget about who they are.
Yeah, I was just thinking about just now. We have a gap, we have a space where we need to be. And some people haven't found that space yet. So they want to get close to others. It could be a group that you join. It could be looking for friends. Whatever it is, we're all trying to fit in or identify with something. And many people cover up pretending that, you know what, I'm part of this group. Let me try to find that peace. Let me try to find that equilibrium where, you know, I'm at peace with myself. But sometimes, as you said, they can't find it because they don't know where they want to be. They don't know where they are, although they're trying to find that. And so hopefully tonight we'll be able to help you to find out where you fit in so that you can be right, you can be happy within yourself, and you won't need to mask up anything or wear clothes or hide or do whatever it is, but you find yourself, be normal, be yourself, and be happy and content inside.
So you that are watching me now and you say, James, I have a serious problem with this. I hate who I am. I hate something about myself. And this is affecting all the things in my life, my work, my career, my relationships. Then I believe that you can overcome this. You can overcome this problem that you think you have. Because chances are that you don't have this problem. Chances are there's nothing wrong with you, but you think there is. It's all about the change that needs to happen perhaps inside and not on the outside, but maybe for you is a problem. You know, and we want to help you with this. I believe that the power of prayer can go to the root of this problem, and you can overcome this hatred that maybe you have about yourself. Maybe you're watching me and you say, James, I don't have this, but there are others who do. And after the break, I'm going to show you someone with a disability in his hands. Imagine someone with webbed hands. Is that how you called it, Michael?
Webbed hands.
Webbed hands.
Like
Imagine someone with webbed hands, a birth defect in his hands. Someone was shunned by everybody. Someone was shunned by work colleagues, by family members, by even people of his own faith. But he turned his weakness into his greatest strength. Imagine someone who has webbed hands, a birth defect, someone who perhaps nobody would pay attention to, but today he's a world leader. I want to show you who he is after the break. But if you say, James, I need help with what you just said there. I have serious complexes and hang-ups about myself, and I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to know who I am. I want to be happy. I want to be happy in my own skin, and you're not going to find that through plastic surgery. You're going to find that by addressing the issue that is there inside of you, and prayer can help to do that. If you need help, if you want to speak to us, the number to call is 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. We'll be right back.
When we want to reach our goals, we research, act, and make sure we know everything there is to know about that topic. We study hard because that is the intelligent thing to do. This is the same for our development as a Christian. The Faith School is designed for those who want a degree in spiritual growth, those who want to separate time to study the Holy Bible and follow God's path for their life. There is no admissions fee and it's suitable for every level of learner. You will learn how to interpret the Word of God for your daily life and become stronger internally. Do you want to find inner peace and spiritual strength? Then this course is for you. The Faith School, every Wednesday at your local UCKG Help Centre. For more information, call 020-7686-6000 or visit our website uckg.org.
more people coming, and we have what? Maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people already, even more than that. And we're going to have to start very soon because otherwise the queue is going to be too long, but we're pretty happy.
I've read the first book, yeah, and I found it really, really inspiring because Adim Macedo, he's been through so many problems. No one believed in him, and there's a lot of people going through that actually. That people, they have a dream, but there's people that always try to put them down and tell them they're not good enough. And he just broke through all of that, and he just went for his dreams, and he's just conquered so much today. It's amazing. He's so inspirational.
I'm really excited. I'm just excited about the book launch, and I can't wait to read the book.
As the book says, nothing to lose and there is nothing to hide. Everybody needs to know. And I think this is the right time that people should know the truth about this great man of God, Bishop Macedo, his background, where he's coming from, and what is UCKG Help Center all about.
I expect it to be just as good as the first book, because the first book was really, really good. And from it, I learned a lot about Bishop Macedo. Like, you go to the church and stuff, but you don't really understand the struggles that he went through. From reading the book, you understand it more, and you understand deeper where the UCKG came from.
It is the book of Acts, which means the story of someone who, through faith, managed to not only turn his life around, but the life of many, many other people around.
You saw there one of the stars of this network, Chrissy B, and she was saying that, you know, nobody believed in this man, the man who wrote this book, Bishop Macedo. Nobody believed in him. And he is the one that we were talking about that has a birth defect in his hands. He has webbed hands. Now, the first book of Nothing to Lose sold over 1 million copies in 5 months. And the second book has just been launched. I'm not sure how many has been sold yet. But I have here a copy of this book. And I want to do something. We are going to invite you to send us an email. And, you know, you can send us an email maybe just with your name. Or if you want to say maybe what you've got nothing to lose. Maybe you want to say, look, my name is, I don't know, James Marquez, which is my name. And you want to say that I've got nothing to lose. Or you can just put your name. And at the end of this week, on Friday's live show here, we're going to take one name from the people that will be calling this week, that will be sending us emails. We're going to select one person to receive a copy of this book for free. At the end of the week, we'll select one person, and that one person will receive a copy of this book. I'm sure that especially you who are, that you fit into the description of today's show, you have an issue about the way you look, the way you are, your background, something that maybe you don't like about yourself. I'm sure this book is really, really going to help you. Actually, not just you who fits this profile, but anyone will benefit from reading this book. So if you want, you can call us now or send us an email. The number and email will be on the screen. I'd like the production team to keep the number and the email there on the screen so that people can call and email to get this book. On Friday, we'll be choosing one person at random to do that, okay? We're going to talk now to Clarencier.
Clarencier.
Who's here with me? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You okay?
I'm very well.
Clarencier, before you found out about the power of faith, things started to really go wrong for you,
Yes.
right? Tell me a little bit about your life before you found out about the power of faith.
Just a young girl living here with my sister and my brother. One of my younger brother, which we were very close together as a family before we came to the country. My mom raised us, all of us, as one, so we were quite close. So he was living with my sister and I was living on my own. Very intelligent young man, doing very well at school and doing his part-time work, and things were looking good for him. But without us knowing, he was involved with obviously some groups of other friends, so he called friends, which obviously they were not good for him, but still we didn't know. Just one day I received a phone call from my sister saying that my younger brother packed his bags and she didn't know where he was, but she think he left the country.
Until that point, you had been very close.
We were very close. I mean, to the point that, he comes to me, I need some money for this and that. I give him my bank card and, go and take some money. We were, so...
So he left for no reason, apparently.
Apparently, for no reason.
He didn't tell anyone anything.
He didn't tell anyone anything.
And I imagine that's harder, because if he had said where he went or why he was leaving, at least you would know. So him leaving just like that was a lot harder.
It was harder, it was a shock, because obviously we think if there was anything why he didn't come and speak to any of us, especially me, because we were that close. So we started trying to find out, if he left the country, obviously he must have taken a flight. So calling some airports to find out, So eventually we came to know that he went back home, but he didn't go straight to our family home. We have like an island there back home. That's where he went, which still none of us, we never been there.
How long after he left did you find out where he was?
I believe for about 2 weeks.
So for 2 weeks you never knew where he was?
We never knew where
he...
We have absolutely no idea. So even after that 2 weeks that we knew he was in that island, but we didn't know where he was. And there it's not like here that you have address, you can find postcode and nothing like that. So he went from 2 weeks to a month, 3 months, and days were going on and none of us knew where he was. So I took it really hard, because I'm thinking, what happened to this guy? Is he still alive? Is he dead? And obviously I get calls from my mom, she demanded that we should tell her what happened to him. And obviously we have no answer to tell her, because we have no idea. It started affecting me. Every morning I wake up, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to receive a call from him today, but nothing, no news, nothing. And little by little, obviously, the sadness, the thoughts, and the thinking started really consuming my mind. Going to work it became like a heavy burden for me. I'm going there, but I couldn't really perform well as I used to. It started affecting my health. Started having the thoughts, if I don't know where he is, so then what's the point for me to be here? Then eventually I lost the job, because obviously I couldn't perform, phoning sick every now and then, because I couldn't really handle that.
So, sorry to continue you, but this thing that happened with your brother, that he left and you didn't know where he was, that really started to affect you, because you even lost your job over that.
I lost my job because obviously I couldn't concentrate. It's an accounts office, and you really, you have to pay attention to details.
Would you say that you were depressed about it? How did you feel?
At that moment, I didn't know. All I knew that I was sad. I was unhappy. My character changed. View of things in life completely changed. I didn't see any reason for me to be here. And I kind of lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. After losing the job, obviously things started getting worse. Just staying in the house, can't sleep at night. During the day, just walking about on the streets for, aimless, knowing you just walk about. Then I started having kind of desiring things which I never thought before. Things like, why don't you start smoking? It's going to relieve some pressure on you. Start smoking, it's going to be fun. And I'm thinking, smoking, I never smoke. I never like to be around people who are smoking. Why I started having these ideas of smoking. Anyway, I put it at the back of my mind. Then I started having ideas, why don't you just commit suicide? What's the point? Perhaps your brother is dead now, so it's better for you, to go as well and, forget about everything because everyone is blaming you. How
so
come
were people blaming you?
Part of my family, because it's like, how come what have we done to him for him to take his bag and go?
He was your younger brother?
He was my younger brother.
So did you feel a sense of responsibility to look after him?
I did, especially because I was so close to him.
Right.
And
so when he disappeared, people held you responsible for that. They thought you should have known where he was.
I should have known, seen the sign, or perhaps I've done something to him that he got so upset he couldn't even tell me.
So of course that pressure made you feel even worse, right?
Even worse.
So you started feeling, well, you lost your job, you started, couldn't sleep at night, you would walk the streets with no direction, nowhere to go really. And this thing of feeling suicidal really, was it that bad?
It was that bad, and at that moment, because I started having this desire of smoking, then I was just kind of getting angry with people, thinking everyone around me is against me. I feel like I'm really like trapped in somewhere and I can't breathe, I'm trying to come out, I'm trying to be happy, but obviously I couldn't. Then the thought of suicide started coming. Why don't you just, commit suicide?
Did you ever try to commit suicide?
I made a move. So the thought came, it's like kind of talking to myself in my mind, why don't you start committing suicide? Then I'm asking, but how? How can I do that? Because, how can I do that? Why don't you walk in front of the train and, jump in front of the train and it's just going to be quick and it's going to be done. So I left my house that morning, take my train pass, walk to my local underground, swipe my travel card on the barrier thing, walk down the platform, standing there waiting for the train to come. So I'm standing there watching the train coming, and I'm thinking, kind of in my mind talking, but it's not fast enough. If I jump, I don't think I'm gonna die. Perhaps I'm gonna break something in my body.
So you had made a plan to kill yourself that day?
I've made a plan to just finish it all that day. And I'm standing there, the train came, stopped, people got in and out, closed again, and they left. You're so silly, why you didn't do it? You see, you've lost a chance. But in my mind, I'm thinking, how can I do that? So I left the train station. I'm walking down the street, I'm thinking, okay, thought come, okay, you couldn't do that. Why don't you just, cross the road and, hope someone is gonna drive past by and shoot you. And I was actually making a prayer that as I'm crossing the road, can someone pass by?
So your desire was that you wanted to die?
My desire
was
definitely
How
to
long
die.
did it spend that you never heard anything about your brother? You didn't know if he was dead, alive?
For about a year.
A year?
For about a year.
So for 1 year?
For 1 year.
Is that how long this depression, these suicidal thoughts lasted for?
I can say more than that.
More than that?
More than that, yeah.
Because when you finally heard from him, did that make the sadness go away?
It kind of, I wanted answers from him, but then obviously he wasn't in the state of mind of saying anything, because by the time he managed, obviously by that time, families praying and stuff, and he came back himself, and he was completely destroyed.
We're going to hear about that after the break.
Thank you.
After the break, you're going to see, or you're going to hear how Clarencier's brother came back and how that affected her. So if you've been calling, keep doing that. If you've been sending emails about the book or to request for prayer, keep doing that. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, we'll hear what the people of London have to say about how important your appearance is, and we're going to finish hearing Clarencier's story. Don't go anywhere.
The Bible contains the mind of God, the state of man, the way of salvation, the doom of sinners, and the happiness of believers. Its doctrines are holy, its precepts are binding, its stories are true, and its decisions are immutable. Read it to be wise, believe it to be safe, and practice it to be holy. It contains light to direct you, food to support you, and comfort to cheer you. It is the traveler's map, the pilgrim's staff, the pilot's compass, the soldier's sword, and the Christian's charter. Here, paradise is restored, heaven opened, and the gates of hell disclosed. Christ is its grand subject, our good the design, and the glory of God its end. It should fill the memory, rule the heart, and guide the feet. Read it slowly, frequently, and prayerfully. It is a mine of wealth, health to the soul, and a river of pleasure. It involves the highest responsibility, will reward the greatest labor, and will condemn all who trifle with its sacred contents. Pray it in, read it through, live it out, and pass it on.
Click on to uckg.org for all the latest happenings at the UCKG Help Centre. It's dynamic, interesting, and full of content that will add to your daily life. Keep up to date with all the latest info on events up and down the country at a UCKG closest to you. There's something for everyone, and you're invited. Check out what we've done previously and update your calendar with what's coming up next. Ladies, especially for you, presenters and authors Nanda Becerra, Esther Becerra, Chris Cardoso and Viviane Freitas share with you advice on becoming a better woman. Read their top tips on health, beauty, love and well-being, all aimed at helping you become the woman you were created to be. And if you're looking for food for the soul and personal development, then check out messages from world-renowned spiritual leader Bishop Macedo, as well as character-building blogs from Bishops Renato and Celso Jr. It's spiritual intelligence for your life. And for all you young guys and girls, why not check out our section dedicated to youth? Real talk, real advice, and a whole lot of fun. Catch cool clips of their shows and listen to the catchiest VYG record tracks. Want some inspiration? Watch our live transformational videos, recent programs, plus all the promos and coverage of some of our best shows and events.
Is finding answers, and we are here.
Finding us is easy. Wherever you are in the UK, find the UCKG nearest to you at a click of a button. uckg.org. All you need at your fingertips.
This is a very tricky one because
How do you see yourself? That's our topic for tonight's show. We're on the streets of London finding out what people think of their self-image. Is it something physical, your style, the clothes you wear? Or is it more mental, the way you think about yourself? Let's find out. What is self-image?
Well, self-image, I guess that's what everyone thinks of themselves.
Basically that, how you see yourself, how you portray yourself, inward and outward.
Well, I guess self-image is the environment you grow up, your friends, your magazines you read, your fashion, your self-confidence, the things you think about yourself, all these things.
How you walk and how you the sound of your voice, and all that things that they are related to the body, but in the same time express something that is in your head.
I think self-image is how you see yourself. Like when you wake up in the morning, oh, do I look good today? Don't I? That's basically it.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Yeah, self-image is how you look, I think. It's what you think of yourself as well. It's how you portray yourself.
Yeah.
What are the factors that affect self-image and how?
Well, I think society is quite hard on self-image, so most of the time is about how much you are cool and or how much you are beautiful or skinny or fat.
I think an important point is your family, the family you grew up with.
When people say things about you, and yeah, when people say things about you, like it stays in your head. It doesn't really come out, but yeah, I think that's one of the factors, the main factor.
I think that's a main factor. When someone comments on how you look, dress, appearance, voice, it will affect you, like, no, regardless. Yeah, regardless. If you're popular, if you're not popular, it will just stick with you. You'll just be thinking about it for years. Like,
I think there's a lot of factors. So for some people it's weight. Some people it might be intellect or hobbies or kind of how you are as a person, kind, mean, kind of sarcastic, that kind of stuff.
I guess the people you surround yourself with and the types of things that you surround yourself with. Like if you go into the shop and get magazines, see the women on there, if they don't look like you might feel like I'm supposed to look like that and not how I am right now. And I think that affects loads of young women especially. And now with the whole bodybuilding thing, boys as well.
Boys as well, indeed. We didn't speak a lot about boys, but men nowadays are under pressure as well with their looks. And a lot of them, they feel pressurized to look like the guys in the magazines, you know, models and so on. But, you know, the important thing is how you feel, how confident you feel about who you are, not what the perception that people have of you. We're going to go to Clarencier's story again and see, Clarencier, you said that your brother showed up a year later. Was it a year later that he showed up?
Yes.
But he wasn't the same person. What happened?
He was completely destroyed. Completely. That time when, because the only place that he remembered to go was at my sister's workplace. I don't know how he managed that, but he managed to get to my sister's workplace. As he arrived at the door, my sister's colleagues were like, "Oh, close the door. There's a madman, you know, at the door. Close the door." Then she looks and said, "No, that's my brother." So obviously she took him home completely destroyed.
That must have been a shock.
It was a crazy shock.
So for 1 year he disappeared. No one knew where he was. And then all of a sudden he shows up at her work. It's the only place he remembered. And he looked like a madman, you said.
He days like completely confused, gone. I mean, had absolutely nothing, not even shoes. Everything that he left with him from here, even his passport, completely nothing. So obviously taking him home and starting treatment and everything else, that's when we came to find out that he was taking drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
So drugs really messed up his life.
Completely.
How did you take that when you saw him?
I was still here, but when I heard, it was relief that he's back home, but then he wasn't himself. So obviously kind of give him time to get him treatment, whatever that needed to be done that time. And the prayers and everything, and he started, you know, recovering. It was a long process.
What about your recovery? Because you're talking about his recovery, but you were in a bad state.
Yeah.
How did God come into play in your life? When did that happen?
So then after having that desire of jumping in front of the train and praying for someone to shoot me, then that's when I realized something is seriously wrong. And I need to get help somehow. I didn't know how, but I need to get help somehow. So I went to my GP and I said, I need help. And was like, what help? I said, I don't know, something is happening with me. I don't know what, because I didn't know what depression was. All I knew was I was not happy. I wasn't myself. It just, wasn't me. So then talking to my GP, and he decided to refer me to the mental health clinic. Then I'm thinking, why am I going to go there?
You were not mentally ill.
No, but obviously, as I was talking to him, perhaps he kind of thought or think that
He was concerned about
mentally. So he sent me to the mental health clinic in my local hospital. I went there, and it was kind of sessions of talking and explaining what was happening and everything else. Then the guy, the doctor, was like, "Oh, I believe you are suffering with depression." And I'm thinking, what is that? Because I don't know what depression was. And he explained, and I said, okay, so what should I do? Obviously put him into medication and giving me some sessions of counseling. I don't like taking medication. I don't like take tablets. So for me, and I asked, so what will this do? Oh, it's gonna smooth your pain. It's gonna help you to think, and try to think positive and everything. And I'm thinking, I need something
different.
Something different. Something not just to soothe the pain. I want to be free. I want to be happy. I want to be a person, because I don't know who I am anymore. So obviously that time I knew about the church. Then it just clicked.
So when you say you knew about the church, what do you mean? You had been before?
I had been before, because a friend invited me.
Right. So at the lowest point of your life, you remembered that place again.
Clearly.
And you went there.
I crawled back there.
Right.
And I crawled back there.
So you said you crawled back.
Yes.
Is that how you felt at that point?
That's how I felt at that point. And I was like, I need to be free, and I need to be free now. So obviously I went, met advisor there, speak to him, and ask him, so what do you want? I said, I just want to be happy. I want to have life. Because at this time now, at this moment I'm talking to you, I have absolutely no hope of living. And if I don't get it here, then I don't know what's going to happen.
What changed in your life coming to the church?
Learning things about God, knowing that obviously He's there. He's there. He's the one who made me, and He's the one who knows my pain, and He's the one who can fix it. And getting the advice from there, knowing what to do, and obviously because I was so desperate, so thirsty of this change, I committed myself 100%.
Okay. So before you wanted to commit suicide, when you came to the church, you committed yourself 100%.
I committed myself 100% to life.
To life.
To life.
And how are you today, Clarencier?
I'm happy. I have hope.
You don't want to die anymore?
No.
You don't want to jump in front of a train
obviously, oh gosh, no. I'm happy. I have the joy of living. It's a beautiful thing to have hope of life. And obviously, as I was going there, I used to go twice a day, because I just couldn't get enough of it.
And actually, for some people, it sounds crazy to go to church twice a day, right?
Yeah.
But you felt it was helping you.
It was helping, not even a feeling. It was helping me, because then changes started happening. I wasn't sleeping before. I started sleeping. I started having, this unspeakable joy. I wanted more. I mean, I started having sense of life again. I went back to school. I did some courses that I couldn't even think that I was going to do.
What do you do today?
I'm working in a social services department. I did a legal secretarial course. Yes, I'm working there in my local hospital.
And your brother, how's your brother?
He's perfect fine. He came back to the country, and he's in Ireland.
That's great. And today he works?
He works.
That's great. So he's restored.
He's restored.
And you got your life back as well.
And I've got my life back as well.
That's
great.
And
I'm happy.
And you said something very important that I want to touch on. Clarencier said that coming to God, it's like coming to the one who could fix her, because He made her, so He knew what was wrong with her. And sometimes you have all these complexes, like we were saying earlier, all these problems. And you try to fix these things with makeup. You try to fix these things with a new girlfriend, a new boyfriend. And you don't fix the problem. You are just masking the problem, right? But when you go to the one who made you, to the Creator, He knows you inside out. He knows how you tick. He knows everything about you, so He can fix the problem. And perhaps that's what you need to try. I have Kimberly here with me as usual. How are you, Kimberly?
I'm good, thank you.
You okay?
Yes.
Do you have any comments there for you to read?
We have the mail of the day today.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Dear Finding Answers, I've been watching the show and think it's great. Last week, I saw the story of a young woman that got me thinking. My boyfriend and I have been dating almost 2 years. And lately we've been talking about living together and getting married. Some weeks back we got into a fight about his oldest brother. My boyfriend wants him to be the best man, but he's loud, rude, and I hate the way he talks to his wife. I said something that I shouldn't have said, and everything got heated up, and my boyfriend ended up pushing me against the wall. I hit my head, but I'm fine. My best friend says she thinks my boyfriend is abusive. And even though he's never touched me before, sometimes he can be stubborn, which drives me crazy. And I say things I should not say, which gets him upset. And that's why he gets out of control. He's always apologizing, and the next day sends me beautiful flowers. What should I do? I love him, but I really think I'm right. Don't I get to have a say in who the best man will be at our wedding? Huma.
Okay, look, I think the least of your worries should be who the best man is. I think you have a problem there, because if he indeed pushed you physically, let's not get into the term whether it's abuse or, the term doesn't matter. He did something that is unacceptable. It is unacceptable for a man to be physically violent to a woman, whether it's to push the woman, whether it's to slap. It doesn't matter what it is. It is unacceptable. You have a problem there. And that should be a sign to you that it's either something you address and you solve now, or then you really have to rethink this relationship. Okay? Because if you're going to get married and an argument over who the best man is made someone push you, perhaps you hitting your head on the wall or whatever you hit your head was an accident, but that accident would not have happened if he hadn't pushed you. So I think you really need to address that. I really think that's a serious, serious problem. In relationships, there are little problems, and there are problems that are deal breakers. And that's one of them, so please be careful. Now, to do with the best man, you may not like his brother, but if you're getting married with him, you're going to have to deal with his brother on a regular basis. I think your partner should have the right to choose who the best man is. It's his decision. You can try to advise him, but at the end of the day, it's his decision. But the big problem is not who the best man is what he did as a result of that argument. Okay? Kimberly, who has it worse in terms of appearance, men or women?
I think women.
Why?
Even though now men are, getting the pressure now, but I think women, because basically they're always looking at their physical looks. There's the pressure outside of fashion, your hair, your weight, your size. So I think women have more pressure of keeping up the standards.
The thing is that before, men, let's go back to the 80s and perhaps the 70s, and men were seen as they had to be rugged, right? The 80s was the age of the mustache. Remember the mustache? It was the age of men being rugged, and that was looked at, as something being attractive, that's how a man should be, a man's man. And nowadays, men have to be, the idea of a man is much more refined, and how do they call it? Skinny fit trousers, right?
Skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans, and it's tough for a man as well, right? And I think if there's a problem with you, how you see yourself, because I don't think there's a problem with your appearance, but if there's a problem with you, with the way you see yourself, with you having complexes, you're never going to fix this problem by changing something about your looks. Because let me tell you, if you change something about your looks, you're going to feel better about that. But you're going to want to change something else, and then something else, and the list never ends. The truth is, you need to address what is inside. And of course, if you are exercising and looking after yourself for health reasons, by all means, you should do that. But if you have complexes, if you have all these issues within you, you need to address that. I want to invite you now for a prayer, you that are going through problems in your relationships. in your family, you that perhaps are battling with depression like Clarencier did, you that are going through suicidal thoughts, join us now in this prayer. Prepare your glass with water. Let's talk to God.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer and include you in the Finding Answers prayer book, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord and my Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus, when we are with you, when we have the strength that comes from you within us, then nothing that people tell us, nothing that is on the outside really matters, because we have a strength that cannot be measured physically. A strength that is not down to how we are on the outside, but a strength that comes from a source that never ends, that never finishes. And right now, my Lord, I want to pray that you give to this person who is joining me in this prayer, that you give her this strength, this man, this woman, this person who maybe like Clarencier is struggling with depression, suicidal thoughts, this person who has run out of all strength, all resources that they had to fight against their problems, but you can bring this strength back. You can bring this power to fight back to this person again. Give them the strength, my Lord, to face another day, and face another day knowing that things can be better, that things can be different. Things don't have to be the same tomorrow just because they were bad today. Let this person believe that when the sun rises, there will be a new page beginning in their life again. That's my prayer, and I believe that right now, those who are weak are made strong when they drink of this water. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. You may now drink of this water. You know, I want to reiterate what we said earlier, that if you are going to try to please every person and every trend in how you have to look, just so people can accept you everywhere, that's never going to happen. Let me tell you that the Lord Jesus was not accepted by everyone. Actually, there were many who rejected him. And he didn't change who he was and what he believed in and what he stood for just so that people could, accept him. He was who he was, and those who accepted him, great, and those who didn't. And you have to deal, if you have a problem with, anything of what we were saying earlier, you need to deal with the root of that problem. Not try to be accepted by everyone. That will never, ever happen. Remember that. Okay? We'll be back with you again tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful night, and may God bless you.